So welcome guys to Salon Growth Unleashed. I am so excited to have you here to really share my knowledge with you so that you can maybe increase your profit, grow your team and get you some freedom, right? Now, before we begin, I just want to give you my setup here because as you can see, I'm not in my salon. I am here in my dining room and I've got the lovely Pav here who is doing the live streaming for me. And just to let you know that he's going to be going between two different cameras. So this one over here and that one over there. And he's also going to be sharing my slides so that your viewing experience is a bit better. And that leads me on to the fact that if you are watching on your mobile phone, then I highly suggest that you switch to a laptop now because your viewing experience is going to be way better, okay? And also, if my doorbell goes, I apologize, but hey guys, I'm human, I'm here at home, all right? Okay, so what I'd like to do now is actually just find out who is in my audience. So what I'd like you to do is first I want to check that you can see and hear me. So if you could just now do a thumbs up or a hi in the chat box, that would be amazing. Thank you. Okay, just so I can check that you can see and hear me. Yep, okay, some are coming through now. Yep. Okay, perfect. I'm getting some coming through so I know you can see and hear me. The other thing I'd really like you to do is I'd quite like to know who you are in my audience. So if you could just type in if you are either a hairdresser or maybe a salon owner, or maybe you're somebody that is thinking of becoming a salon owner, or maybe you're none of them. But whatever it is, just put it in the chat box now. Okay, let's have a look. Hairdresser, cool. Maybe you'll become a salon owner. Salon owner, manager, educator. Okay, perfect. Right, so this leads me on nicely now to who is this event for? Well, this event is for salon owners, but also hairdressers that maybe want to open their salon one day. So it's for you if you would like to have more freedom in your business, more freedom to either grow your business or pursue other things. And it's also for you if you would like to increase your profit. Maybe you're making profit, but you want to make more profit, or maybe you're not actually making profit. And it's for you if you want to create that real sort of growth mindset team so that you're all really working to growing the salon. And it's for you if you want that steady stream of clients that are aligned to your vision. And it's also for you if you want that choice in your business, the choice to do other things. Okay, so if that's you, then you're in the right place because that's what I'm going to share with you today. So let's dive deeper now into the Salon Growth Unleashed so that you can get these achievements in your salon. But where are you right now? Where are you right now? I mean, maybe you're still working long hours on the shop floor, which means that you never get enough time to do all those other jobs required for you to run your business. And that often means that, you know, you're working late into the evening, you're the last one leaving the salon. And that's now having an impact not only on your health, but also your focus in your business the next day. Perhaps you are trying to take time away from your salon, you know, the odd day off or even trying to get a holiday. But when you're not there, your team aren't performing to your standards. That retail stand is gathering dust because your products aren't really moving. Your team, they're not filling that white space. And when you get back, you often see them in the staff room, the room of low earners. And this now is all having an impact on that money that's coming into the till and your profit. And potentially you're getting those bad reviews and now you're getting worried. Maybe you're even struggling to find anyone to come and work for you. You've got those ads out, you've got posts on social media, but you're not getting those CVs. Or when you do, you panic employ because you just need those bodies in your salon. Because what's happening is you're now either serving less clients Or when you do panic employ, you're getting somebody that's not really aligned to your team, and that's now having an impact on your existing team. Possibly you started that business with passion. You were so excited about that new venture. You were making money. In fact, you were making good profit. But now you've hit that glass ceiling. That passion's gone. You're no longer excited about going to work. In fact, you're even now thinking, would it be easier to go and work for somebody else? Where do you want to be instead? Where would you like to be instead? Visualize this. Visualize now that you have been away. You come back to your salon, you open the door, every single chair is full. And not only that, your clients are all smiling, they're happy. Your team, they look professional. And then when you go and look at the figures, your team have been smashing your goals without you even needing to be there. What about this? Imagine this. Imagine now that you're no longer spending time and money on recruitment ads. In fact, you've got CVs coming into your inbox without you even advertising. But not only that, you've had the time to make sure that you've implemented a strategy that means now you are training your own team aligned with your ethos. So you're no longer needing to look for others that are not trained by you because you've got a system in place. Visualize this. Visualize now. You've got your passion back because you're spending your day doing the things that make you grow. You're eating better, you're sleeping better. In fact, you're going to the gym. And this is now giving you the focus and clarity that is helping you grow your business further. So now you've got that passion back, not just in your business, but you've got it back in your life. Imagine this. Imagine you glammed up, your team glammed up. You're sitting round that round table at the British Hairdressing Awards, Creative Head Awards. But now you're just not hearing your salon's name being called. You're hearing your team's name being called and your name being called, because now you're all being recognised for the contributions you're making to the industry. But how are you going to get there? Well, I believe you're going to get there by changing your identity. But what do I mean by that? Well, here I'm talking about changing your identity from hairdresser to salon owner. What do I mean by that? Well, if right now you're identifying as a hairdresser, then you're getting these hands on the tools that a hairdresser does, meaning the brushes, the combs, the scissors, the hairdryer. And these are all the tools to work with your client in the chair. Whereas as a salon owner, you've got to start getting these hands on the tools to run your business, meaning the metric tools that help you track the average spend per client, the tools that help you track the number of clients you need to serve to achieve that profit that you need. Let's not forget that business dashboard that helps you assess how well your salon is doing, and more importantly, how well your team are doing. See, as a hairdresser, you see your client as the client in the chair. Whereas as a salon owner, you've got to start seeing your client as your team. Meaning, the people that you engage with, the people that you spend time with, isn't that client in the chair, it's the people that work with that end client. And that is what lucrative salon owners do. They invest their time wisely in those assets. But why is it important? Why is it important to change your identity to help you achieve those goals? Well, let's look at the importance of training. I mean, did you know, according to LinkedIn's research, the #1 reason for poor performance and time off sick is down to staff feeling either inadequately trained or undervalued. But see, when you get the time to be in the identity of the salon owner, you ensure that your team are equipped with the skills and the mindset to really grow on the profitability, and not just on their salary, but also your salons. And here's another reason: technology. I mean, don't we need that more than ever now in our business? Because you need to stand out from the crowd. And haven't we got these social media influencers, you know, that are influencing our employees to go and work with them because they stand out? And not just that, but your clients too. But see, when you really identify as a salon owner, you get clarity about exactly what your vision is, exactly what type of client you need to attract, and let's not forget team members. And now your marketing stands out from the crowd, and now you get your brand out there and you start becoming the influencer. What about work-life balance? I mean, did you know, according to the Health Foundation in the UK, 79% of business owners are suffering from stress-related illnesses, potentially leading to burnout. But when you get to live in the identity of that salon owner, you can make sure that you are spending your day doing the things you love, but also doing the things that are going to improve your focus and improve on your productivity, therefore helping you grow your business further and having work-life balance, right? And what about new ideas? Being creative. See, when you're working in the salon and you're being really busy, you don't have that time to sit back and just reflect and start being creative. But as a salon owner, you get the time to do this, to keep up with the new technology, to keep up with the fast pace of the industry. And you start becoming creative and you start looking at new ideas of how you can grow your business further. But look, why now? Why do you need to do this right now? Well, here's why. Now more than ever, are we not living in a culture of people potentially wanting to sue? And I'm not just talking about your clients here, I'm talking about your employees too, knowing their rights, and so they should. But you need to make sure that you're not dropping the ball by cutting hair, but that you've got systems in place for any eventuality. Here's another reason why now: increased costs. I mean, isn't it getting harder to make profit in your business? So you need to make sure that you're getting these hands on the metric tools and regularly, so that you do know what to do at any given point in your business to ensure that you are making the profit that you desire. Here's another reason: recruitment. Isn't it getting harder to recruit? See, these people today have got that entrepreneurial mindset. They don't want a job. They want a future compelling career path. They want to feel like they're part of and growing with your brand. And they want the salaries that go with that. So when you get the time to identify as a salon owner and you get more time to look at ways you can grow your business further, you start understanding how to create that compelling career path in your business. And not only that, you also understand how to get the salaries that they now require. Let's not forget this. One day, you may want to sell your business, or you're going to want to leave a legacy, right? So you're going to have to put systems in place anyway for your business to be any value. So why not start now with the end in mind? Put systems in now, because look, your business is not only going to benefit now, but it's going to be worth way more value when it's time for you to cash out. But why would you listen to me? How do I know that it's important to change your identity from hairdresser to salon owner? Let me ask you this question. What is your identity? Do you know what your identity is? Come with me. It's July 2017. And I'm here at this grand building of the University of College London Hospital, Queen Square. There's nothing grand about where I am because I'm in the dark, dingy cafe in the basement. And I'm sitting on this cold, hard, plastic, sterile chair. There's that pungent smell of disinfectant mixed with the aroma of coffee. And as I sit here scrolling through these endless emails, people are bustling past those blue ovals, you know, grabbing their morning coffee before their first patient arrives. The only sound that I can hear as I'm scrolling through these endless emails is that constant chatter in my head. That constant chatter of all the things that I should be doing rather than sitting here waiting. He arrives at last. He's a small man. Shiny, sweaty, bald head. Dishevelled shirt stretched across his ballooned belly. No tie, clipboard in hand, and he's got that look of detachment on his face. Mrs. Phillips, hello. Now, look, you can go and see your mother now, but before you do, it says here that she's going to need more care. See, unfortunately, your mother's never going to walk again. So we just need to make sure that she's got enough support at home. Now, I'm thinking maybe you and your sister could do this, or look, there is another option. We can provide some care. It's not a lot. To be honest with you, it might be time for a care home. A care home? I thought a care home was for people with dementia. My mum was young. She was of sound mind. I wasn't put her in a care home, but never walk again. He had to have this wrong. I mean, she walked in here. But of course I wanted to help my mum, but how could I? I had my own business. I employed 10 people. Who was going to manage my team? Who's going to do the wages, the bookkeeping, the training, the stock? Oh, who was going to cut my clients' hair? They weren't going to be happy. Do you know what? The only thing I thought I could do was actually sell my business. Because look, family comes first, right? Problem was, my business wasn't really worth anything because I was the biggest income producer. Without me, I didn't really have a business. Have you ever had that moment in time where you knew you needed to make changes? That was me. But actually, you kind of feel backed into a corner because you just don't know how you're going to do it. I did make changes. I went back to my salon. I carried on cutting hair. I carried on managing my team. I carried on doing all the things you do to run your business. But the change that I made was that I tried to fit in caring for my mum. Now, I'm not saying I became her carer. I couldn't do that. But between me and my sister and support we had, I did the best I could. The other change I made was that I actually got a new best friend that was really, really loyal and gave me so much support. Sauvignon Blanc, my bottle of wine, every single night to help me get through the evening, to stop that constant chatter in my head and kind of to get me through the work I had to do on the computer. Do you know what? For a while it was okay. We just keep going around doing the same thing, don't we? Yeah, I was kind of asleep by 10 o'clock at night and the next morning not really focused. But you know that saying, Groundhog Day? That's kind of what I was in. Until now, January 2018. I've just got in from an extremely stressful day at work. Honestly, it felt like speed dating, all while I'm demanding Dolores's hair. You know, that client that's in the chair that wants your sole attention as so demanding. One by one, they're coming to me. How do I do this? Where's this? Oh, I need to book holiday. All those things that your staff ask you when actually they really know what to do, but they just want to get your clarification. So I've just got home and what am I doing? Wages. So my best friend comes out to help me get through the evening. And then he comes in, my husband, Gary. Gary, my husband, he's a builder. And oh, he's a really, really good man. Honestly, he's been helping as much as he possibly can. You know, he's been feeding the boys, he's been doing the washing, he's been walking the dog, tidying up the house. Well, the washing's going grey, the dog's walking himself, the kids, they're living on Kentucky. Tidying up, shoved under the sofa. But do you know what? I don't care. He's helping me out. But tonight was a bit different. I could see that look on his face. He took one look at me and he said, Lisa, we can't do this anymore. Look at you. You're on the wine again. You're going to be asleep in half an hour. We've got no life. We can't keep doing this every single night. Honestly, to be honest with you, I think I've had enough. I mean, didn't you say that, you know, you started that business so that you had more time and freedom? I mean, you wanted to spend this time with your mum, but you're firefighting all the time and you're no good to her if you're like this. In fact, if your business doesn't fail, you're going to end up dead. Do you know what? I think you'd be better off going to work for somebody else and not have this stress. I don't know why you're not just a hairdresser. Don't you hate it when your husband's right? Have you ever had that light bulb moment? Because that's what happened to me. That light bulb moment. I had forgotten my why. I'd forgotten why I wanted to be a salon owner. Why had I got my own business? I'd forgotten to be the salon owner. So I knew what change I needed to make. And that change was to change from that hairdresser and solely be the salon owner. Really, really understand how to grow my business so that I could get that time and freedom. I could get that time with my mum. So the first decision I made was that I came off the cutting tools completely. Now, I'm not saying that it was going to be forever. I kind of said to myself for about a year. But I just knew that I needed to work on the business tools. And I did. And I'd studied business studies and invested a lot of money into myself previously to know how to run my business. The problem was I'd never implemented it. So that's what I started to do. Instead of standing behind that salon's chair, the client's chair, I started sitting in front of my computer. It wasn't easy. I mean, first of all, my clients would say to me, who's going to cut my hair now that you're not here? No one's going to cut my hair like you do. Even though I had a really good team, but no, they want you, don't they? And others would say to me, is your business going to survive without you bringing the money in? And even I was a little bit concerned about that. And as I sat in front of my computer, trying to bring out all my knowledge from the business studies that I'd done, even I was getting frustrated because I was so used to standing behind the chair. But little by little, it got a bit easier. In fact, I started to enjoy it. I started implementing these systems and I started to enjoy seeing the results. And soon, we got our wins. First, I noticed more money coming into the till. And now we take 50% more profit without me even needing to be in the shop floor. Then I started noticing that my team were doing really well. We had team members as young as 21 buying their first properties just on the outskirts of London. Now 23 bought their second property and they're now landlords. And then other team members started getting really passionate about my business and came to me to look at ways to grow it and wanted to go into other areas, going on to do apprenticeships in marketing, becoming training assessors, and now running our own academy, bringing the new generation through our business to support the industry. We started winning awards, and not just hairdressing awards, business awards, from Women in Business Award, England's Business Awards, presented awards by the local mayor, and Growing Business Awards, British Hairdressing Business Awards, and recently, our most recent win, Creatives Head's Most Wanted Sustainability Hero Award, which was something that was aligned to our real passion and vision. But by far, my biggest win, I got to spend that time with my mum. Not just in assisting in her care, because I didn't become her full-time carer, but making happy memories that I can never get back. See, I don't live with regrets because I've got those memories to carry with me for life, because unfortunately, my mum passed away in 2021, but I've got those happy memories. So this is why now I love nothing more than sharing my knowledge with the Profitable Salon Liberator and the Sustainable Salon Mastery with other salon owners, so that they too can have more time, more freedom, more profit, more balance in their life, and grow amazing teams for the future of our industry. I've shared my knowledge on many stages, and not just within the hair industry, but also just with other businesses that have understood how my systems can help them to get more balance in their business life. I've spoken on radio shows and even been asked to be on panels within the industry events. Let me go back to that question that I asked you in the beginning about what is your identity? Do you know what your identity is? Are you living in the identity that is giving you the life you desire? You might want to write this down, guys, because remember one thing. Make sure you are spending your day taking the action in the identity of the outcome that you want to achieve. And if that's a salon owner, to grow your business, then you need to be doing the things that a salon owner does. Hopefully, that has inspired you to realize how much you need to change your identity, so that you can grow your business further. But how do you succeed at changing your identity? How do you do this? Well, that's what I'd like to share with you today in the Profitable Salon Liberator. And the first skill that you need to master is to have cohesion and high performance. But what do I mean by this? Well, here I'm talking about essentially a salon owner knowing what they're trying to aim for. What does their salon want to be known for? What is the future vision of what they're trying to achieve? However, the problem that I often see here is that many salon owners either have never ever thought about the future vision of their business. They were a hairdresser, they could build a column, they thought they could have their own business. Or even if they have, it's in their head and they're not sharing it with the rest of their team. And this means that if the salon owner doesn't know what their vision is, or they're not sharing that vision with their team, then how does everybody else know what to do on a day-to-day basis? And this means that either your team end up not doing anything, or they end up doing it in their own way, which means everybody's going in different directions. So here, with the Salon Mission Keys, I teach my salon owners how to really get clear about exactly their future vision, that they know what they want to do with their salon and what they want to create for the future, essentially leaving a legacy. But not only that, to make sure that they have a clear mission statement that then helps their team and their clients know exactly what they're about, exactly what they should be doing on a day-to-day basis towards the same goal. This now means everybody's going in the same direction. And not only that, they actually have got an invested interest in achieving that same goal. So what's the next step? The next step is about mastering your salon's profits. And what do I mean by that? Well, here I'm talking about the money in the business, but not just the profit that you desire to make sure that your business can grow, your team are paid a good salary, and let's not forget, you, the salon owner, is too. However, what I see here many times is that often salon owners get so busy working on the shop floor that they don't really have time to assess those figures regularly. And when those prices go up, they maybe do it once a year and increase their prices, but they're not really keeping on track. And not only that, when they're working with their client in the chair, they get too connected with that client. So when it is the time to increase those prices, they don't feel like that they can ask their clients to do this, and they feel embarrassed and they don't feel confident. They don't really know their true worth. Then they're left at the end of the month with maybe just enough money to pay the bills, but often I hear they don't have enough money to pay the bills, and maybe they have enough to pay their team, but they get impacted as a salon owner because they often don't have the money left over to pay themselves a decent wage. So instead, this is what I teach my salon owners with, is a successful profit process. Where here now, my salon owners know exactly how much they should be charging, even down to the 15-minute service, and at any given point in their business, because they've got a system set up now that they can track all the time and make sure also that they are making enough money to achieve the salaries that their team now require. And then the salon owner, they're now getting paid as the salon CEO. Now, my salon owners are excited at the end of the month because not only have they got enough money to pay those bills, not only have they got enough money to cover everything else, but there's also money to grow the business further. Hopefully you can see how this could benefit your business too. So now that my salon owners have got a clear vision, they know exactly what direction they're going in, they know what they want to create for the future, and everyone in the teams know where they're going to. Now they know they're making substantial profit in their business and everybody's getting paid wisely for their time. What's the next step? Well, here it's about employee alignment. What do I mean by this? Well, here I'm talking about making sure that your business is compliant with your employees from the moment they join you all the way through their career path with you. And not only that, making sure that you've got a system in place that aligns with what they want to achieve as to what your salon wants to achieve. However, what often happens here is that the salon owner employs somebody because they're desperate for staff, and they may employ somebody for skills only because they just need those bodies in the salon to serve those clients. And then they might assess at the beginning of their employment, and then maybe when things go wrong, but they don't do it continually. This then means they often end up with that prince or princess in their salon, you know, that real headache that ends up costing you more time and money. Or you don't actually create that compelling career path for your team, which means they often see opportunities elsewhere, and then you end up losing them. So here, what I teach my salon owners is a stylist coaching culture, where now they have got a system in place that makes sure from the moment their employees start with them, they're compliant, and they've got a great induction process that not only keeps them compliant, but gets that stylist set off straight away so they start bringing money into the business. And then it's a process that supports their employees all the way through the longevity of their employment, that really can see and identify exactly what their employee wants and how that can be incorporated into their brand. So now they've got a team that are growing their skills, going into leadership. Their team now no longer see that they need to look for opportunities elsewhere. So what's the next step? Well, here it's about performance optimization. But what do I mean by that? Well, now you've got a great brand, you know what your vision is, you're making great money, your team can essentially make great money, and you've got a great system in place to support them. But what often happens here is that many of the team don't believe that they can achieve those goals. So they might have the good skills, they might have the support from you, but their mindset isn't in the right place. So performance optimization is all about creating that growth mindset. Problem is, what I often see here is, and I'm sure you've heard this in your salon too, we kind of end up in that blame game, you know, where the stylist ends up blaming the client because the client didn't really know what she wanted done. Or the salon owner ends up blaming their team because they haven't achieved their targets. And this then means it creates that negative culture. You know, everybody's really just pointing the finger at somebody else. And this is a bit like a game of cricket. You know, the batter misses the ball. Who does he blame? The bowler, because he says the bowler threw the ball too hard. This then means that the batter never really takes ownership for the fact that he needs to enhance his skills, that he needs to get better at what he's doing. And that is the same in your salon. If people don't start taking the ownership for what they actually need to improve on, then nobody actually achieves anything. So here, with the magnetic mindset game, we teach our salon owners and their teams how to change their mindset from that fixed mindset to a growth mindset, so that they see those challenges as opportunities to grow, opportunities to achieve more. And now everybody is actually setting themselves goals higher because they're more confident to achieve them. So what's next? Well, the next step is competitive advantage. Now, we all need competitive advantage in our salons, right? But here I'm talking about the advertising in the salon. It's about making sure that the salon is standing out from the crowd, that they do have that competitive edge amongst other salons in their area and others in the industry. But what a lot get wrong here is that because they haven't got the time to live in the identity of the salon owner, they haven't got that clarity about their vision. And if they haven't got that clarity about the vision, then they don't really know who their target audience is. And not only that, they don't even know what their targeted services are. And this means that they're just creating ads and posting them out there and hoping for the best, right? And isn't that a bit like shooting arrows on a foggy day? You're putting in all that effort, you're shooting those arrows, but you've got no idea where they're going. And the chances of hitting the target, pretty slim. So here, we teach our salon owners with the Client Attraction Accelerator, where now they get complete clarity of what their vision is. They know who their ideal client is. They know exactly who their marketing should be targeted to. So now they're getting their brand and their message out there, and they're seeing a more profitable return on their investment. They no longer feel like they're wasting their time in their marketing, and they can see the advantage of continually doing this. So now my salon owners have got their vision, they're making great profit, their team are really feeling supported, and they've all got that growth mindset. And the marketing is just a marketing machine attracting those aligned clients. What's next? Here it's about regression. But what do I mean by that? Well, here it's essentially, what are the next steps? You've created everything in your business. Your business is now pretty much operating without you needing to be there. You know, you're working on those business tools, but you've got such a neat system that it kind of feels like it's rinse and repeat. And you kind of take your eye off the ball. You start thinking, maybe I should go back on the shop floor. Maybe now I could go back and cut my client's hair. Or maybe now I can take those longer holidays and spend the money that I've now got. And the problem with this is that they forget about the future. This means that they're not looking at ways to grow their business further. They're stuck in the old ways. They're not really looking how the industry has advanced and looking at further ways to grow the business. And this means they start getting frustrated. They start getting exhausted again, has an impact on their health. Maybe they start going back into the salon because they're panicking that they think that they need to go back and work on the shop floor. So here, with the hairdresser to salon CEO, we ensure that you know what the next steps are to make sure that you don't go back into that identity of the hairdresser, that you do continue to go on to be the salon CEO. We help you understand what jobs that now you no longer like doing, but you can outsource them. We now look at, now you've created a great asset from your business. What other assets can you create? Now we make sure that you still have that balance in your life, that you are still looking after your personal health so that you can grow your business further. Maybe you want to franchise. Maybe you want to open up your academy. Whatever it is, it's about making sure that you stay focused on those next steps. Okay, so you might be thinking now, what's next, right? Well, next up is I'm going to dive deeper into the Salon Growth Unleashed. I'm going to share with you ways that you can develop your team. I'm going to share with you ways that you can increase your profits and get more freedom. So what I'd like to share with you now is I want to dive deeper into the successful profit process so that there's something valuable that you can take away with you today and maybe start implementing straight away. So make sure you've got your pens and paper out because you're going to want to take lots of notes here, okay? But what is the problem I see here with successful profit process? Well, look, many salon owners believe that they can't really step away from their business because they think that the salon can't bring in the wages to cover their wages and everybody else's and the bills and still create profit. They've still got that mindset that their salon needs their income coming into the till. And the problem with this means that then you're not really growing that salon. Well, it's time to change that belief. The truth is, you as a salon owner need to see yourself as a leader, a strategist that is putting strategies in place to lead your team, to grow your business, to assess that profit. You need to be spending your time wisely doing those things. Because look, it's a bit like a conductor of an orchestra. He's there leading his musicians, he's conducting his musicians, and he's getting them to play in harmony so they play a great tune. Now imagine if he sat down and started playing a musical instrument. What might it sound like? Everybody will be doing their own things. They don't know what direction they're going in. Now they may all think they're doing a really good job, but working together isn't going to be very nice. You as a salon owner need to be like that conductor, and you need to value your worth as the leader and the strategist because you are the one that is conducting your team, your clients and your business for the greater good for all. And this is exactly what I taught Gemma, because when Gemma came to me, she was still working 4 days on the shop floor. She had 2 young children, and what she was doing was cutting hair during the day and working on her business at night. And this meant that she was rushing to get her kids to bed. She was then sitting up all night trying to look at ways to grow her business or do the admin or do the wages. And that was having an impact on her health because now the next day she was constantly tired, and then she wasn't really focusing on her clients either. So this is what we taught Gemma when she joined the Profitable Salon Liberator. We took her into the successful profit process, and here there are a further 4 steps required that you need to implement so that your business can bring the profit into the salon without you needing to be there. So you might want to write this down, guys, just the 4 P's. So what is the first P? Well, the first P is principle, and this is what I'm going to share with you today so that we can start at the beginning, right? The next P is pride. And what do I mean by this? Well, here it's about having pride in the work that you are doing, having pride in knowing exactly where you're at, but it's not about being so proud that you're not prepared to share your results. The next P is about process. And what do I mean by this? Here I'm talking about what processes have you got in place to make sure that you are on track to continually achieve that profit that you desire. And the last P is about plan. Now look, we've all heard that saying, right? Fail to plan, plan to fail, or the other way around, not quite sure, but there you go. Well, this is essentially what happens here. If you are not putting a plan in place to make sure that your figures are being assessed properly and consistently, then essentially you can be setting yourself up to fail. Okay, so what did we teach Gemma first of all? Well, this is what we taught Gemma. We went into the principal process, and this was enough to make a big difference to what she thought she should be doing. So here, there are a further 3 steps required. The first step, beginning with S, is start. And this is what we took her into first of all. Here, essentially, it's about looking at the past, looking at what has been going on in Gemma's salon up to now, so that we could assess how we were going to move her forward. So the first step we taught her to do was to actually find out exactly how much her salon had been costing her just to open her doors and serve the clients that she was doing right now. So we sat down and we went through every single cost in her business. And I'm talking about every cost here. Make sure there's no hidden costs. So things like light and heat, you know, turning the lights on, heating the salon in the winter. I'm talking about your accountant's fees. I'm talking about the products you're using in your salon to be able to do your services. I'm not talking about retail here. We looked at everything from general salon expenses, marketing. You know, are you spending any money in your marketing? If you're not, still put it down, but put it as a 0 because we can grow on that one. Office and stationery, you know, even to the pen that you might buy for your reception desk. Software, what software subscriptions, your insurance, absolutely everything written down here. So that was the first step that Gemma did. She went away and she got all of her figures. The next step we taught her was to break these figures down, because she had these figures into a 12 months. So they were normally things that were paid once a month. So to get them into a weekly cost, we divided it by 12 to get her weekly cost. The next step we needed her to do was to get them into 4 weekly costs, because we advise all of our salon owners to be actually doing their figures on a 4 weekly basis. 1, it makes it easier when you work out their salaries, but 2, when you're working out the costs in your business. So now Gemma had all of her costs. She had a figure for her weekly costs and a figure for her 4 weekly costs. So what was the next step we taught her? The next step was to break these costs down. She now needed to find out of those costs, what were her direct costs? And by direct costs, I'm talking about the things that will change and are directly affected by how many clients you do. So if she was to do more clients, what would those direct costs actually do? Would they change? And they would be things like wages. If they're serving more clients, then potentially the wages would go up. Professional supplies. If they're serving more clients, the products you're using will essentially go up. And things like laundry, the gowns, the towels, you know, either washing them or using disposable towels, you're going to be using more the more clients you do. So Gemma now could identify in those 12-month costs exactly which ones were her direct costs. And she made sure that she had them down in a weekly and 4 weekly costs too. The next one was then pretty much anything that was left over was now her fixed costs. And these are the things that are not really going to change. You pay your rent, right? Whether you do 1 client or 100. You pay your rates, whether you do 1 or 100 clients. They're the things that essentially you just keep paying the same every single month. So once Gemma had that, there was a couple of other steps before we could move forward. So now we had to help Gemma understand how to get her stylist average bill and her salon average bill. Now look, most salons can get these figures from a booking system, right? But it's really essential that you know how to work these out, because what if you don't have access to that and you want to work the figure out? So this is what we taught Gemma. She went back and looked at what her stylist took on average on a 4 weekly basis. And then she looked at how many clients did they serve in that 4 weekly basis. And she worked this out for each of her stylists individually. And then she divided the takings by the number of clients. And this then gave her her stylist's average bill, a general average bill all over. And then we went into the salon's 4 weekly takings. So she looked at what on average she took on a 4 weekly basis, divided that by the number of clients that they served on a 4 weekly basis. This now gave her the salon's average bill. So now she had these two figures, we could then go on to the next step. And this was, how much were her team actually really costing her? Because we all kind of have that idea, right? We think it's either commission or basic, or maybe you have a different structure. And then maybe you see that national insurance and tax bill as well at the end of every month. But you don't really know how much each stylist individually is costing your business. So this is what we taught her to do. And this is a template that we use in the Profitable Salon Liberator. And this really helped Gemma understand what her wages were. So she first put her stylist names in and put their guaranteed pay of what they would be guaranteed to pay whether they did 1 client or 100 clients. She then put each individual stylist's average bill in. The next step was how many clients did those stylists individually serve on a 4 weekly period. This then meant she could work out, and this is based on predicting here, guys, although it was based on past results, but we're just looking at what stage are we at now. This gave her her sales per week. She then multiplied that by 4 to be able to get her 4 weekly sales. Now she could look at, so how much are my team costing me over the 4 weeks? Here we put a commission structure in, and this was the commission structure that Gemma was using. And this was how much out of those 4 weekly sales could they potentially earn if they were on commission. And this then gave her her commission value. So she had her guaranteed value here, but now she also had her commission value. What was the greater? The commission or the guarantee, because that's what she paid them. And she would identify on either these which ones were the commission or the guarantee, which then allowed her to go on to the next stage of working out how much her national insurance was and how much her pension was, so that she could get the truth of exactly how much her stylists were costing her. Once she worked out how much she was paying, she could then calculate what percentage of the salon's turnover these stylists were costing her. And as you can see here, she identified that one of her stylists was actually costing her 83% of her turnover. And this isn't what I'm going to share with you in this video, but this was a step that made Gemma realise she either needed to do more training or have that difficult conversation. However, the main thing of all was that she knew exactly how much her wages were. So now we could move on to the next step. She had all these figures. She had her direct costs, her fixed costs, her average bill for the salon, so not the stylist here, number of clients the salon served, and wages cost per week. And from the calculations we'd given her before, this was all on a weekly basis. So she knew exactly now what her costs were on a weekly basis in her salon. Then we could go into the next step. The next step is about expense. And here it's about, essentially, we've done the past. Now we need to be in the present so that we can go forward to the future. And here it's essentially about the break even, about really understanding at what point her salon breaks even to cover the costs of everything before they start making profit. So what we did was we introduced her to the break even tracker. And again, this is a template that our salon owners get in our course. And she had these figures now because we'd worked them out. So the next step was to implement them into the tracker. And again, you may be able to do this on a booking or software system. However, you don't really understand then the actual smaller detail of implementing this, which means that often you miss out on the next step of going forward. So Gemma put in her salon figures here, her weekly takings, net of VAT, guys. Make sure everything is net of VAT. And if you're not VAT registered, then you don't have to worry. But it's good to be VAT registered. So here she put her figures in and her average spend. Now she could put her wages cost in here because she'd calculated that. And then all of her direct costs, her fixed costs, and then her weekly results of where she got. Now, here we identified that actually Gemma only needed 108 clients to be able to break even in her salon. But because she was serving 119, it meant that she had £187 left over at the end of every week. Now, I'm not saying that that's just left over, it's to go back into the business. But remember here, Gemma was working late at night. Gemma was doing all the other things to run a business, and she wasn't really getting a decent wage. So just £187 extra wasn't going to be a lot. But this meant we had a base to start from, so we could then go to the next step. And the next step is the truth. And this is what we taught Gemma. Now that she knew where she was at, we said to her, what are all those other jobs that you're doing? All the other jobs that you do to make sure that your business is moving forward. So the next step was to get Gemma to write down a list of all the other jobs that she does in her business. And then it was about putting a cost to that. How much would it cost her if she had to get somebody else to do that job? You know, what happened if she couldn't go into a salon for a week or 2 weeks? And would everything fall apart? What if she had to pay somebody to do those jobs for her? So she ended up with a list like this. A lot more on this list, but these are the sort of things that she had to write down. How much would it cost a week for somebody else to do the bookkeeping? What if she had to get somebody in to do the HR in her business, have those meetings? Potentially it could cost £60 a week. Training. She was giving up maybe an hour a week on training. What would that cost to get one of her other team members to do this? Yes, she did have her stylist wages still in there, but she was only working part-time. Then it was looking at cleaner. How much would it cost to have a cleaner in her salon? Because she was the one that was doing it at the moment. Her marketing, her social media, how much would it cost to get somebody else to do that? Because Gemma was sitting up late at night doing her marketing, and she wasn't really then focused for the next day. So basically she wrote down all of those costs, and it came to around about £1,072. So what was the next step? Well, this was now a light bulb moment for Gemma, because now we taught her to incorporate a percentage of those costs into her break even, so that she could now understand what her business needed to be doing to cover the costs of all those other jobs that she was doing. So now she put in the same figures here, because this is essentially what she was doing before, 119 clients. The change that she made was that now Gemma could really value herself. She now saw her worth. So she realised she could actually increase her prices by 10%, which gave her an average bill of £49. Her direct costs pretty much stayed the same because she was still serving the same amount of clients. Her fixed costs would stay the same because it didn't matter whether she did 1 client or 100. Her break-even stayed the same because Gemma had included an extra £500 a week for her salary. So she'd increased her salary by £500. But by increasing her average bill by 10%, it meant that actually she got paid £500 more, but her business still made the same amount of profit. So she still only had to do 119 clients to get £187. Gemma now knew where she stood and was now getting an extra £500 a week salary. But this gave her the figures to really understand what her salon needed to be achieving. And then she realised that not only could she have increased her prices by 10%, but actually her team could do more clients. So every time her team did a new client, it would make them achieve more profit. More profit to put back into the business, more wages for her team, and she was getting paid wisely for her time. Wouldn't you like that, guys? Can you see now how easy it is to actually implement your salary as the CEO into what your salon is already doing? Gemma now works solely on her business, but in her working hours, not late at night, not when she's put her kids to bed. Her salon is now making 35% more profit without her working on the tools. And Gemma now, she pays herself the salary of a CEO. She's actually earning 63% more than she was before she came to us. Gemma realised that she needed to invest time and money into herself first to be able to grow her business further. Let me ask you, isn't it time you get paid? That you get paid for all those other jobs that you do? Don't just do them because you're the salon owner, because you'd have to pay somebody else to do them. This is when you truly know your worth, and this is when you start charging for your worth. So hopefully you can see how that could really help you grow your business so that you do get paid wisely for your time. But I've got more that I want to share with you. So make sure you've still got plenty of paper, guys. Maybe you want to grab a drink because we're going to dive deeper into another step now. So the next step that I want to dive deeper into is the salon mission keys. And here, the problem I often hear many salon owners believe is that they need to lead by example. Now, I'm not saying that saying's wrong, but what I'm talking about here is that it's wrong thinking that as a salon owner, you need to lead by example by being in your salon and doing all the other things that your other team do. Because if you're leading by example as a hairdresser, then you're not leading your team to the future growth. The truth is that you need to lead as a leader, as a strategist, to lead the growth of your business and lead the growth of your team. Because look, as a salon owner, right, you end up being so stressed and firefighting. Is that leading by a good example? No. You want your stylists to be calm, relaxed, focused on their job. And if you're rushing around doing all these other things, then you're certainly not giving them a good example. And this is what happened to Kira. See, when Kira came to me, she was still working on the shop floor. And she said she loved doing that. But she was rushing around doing all the other things, you know, spending time in between her clients to quickly read her emails and answer the calls and answer the emails from the clients. And it kind of meant she was just holding everything together. And not only that, her team were constantly coming up to her, asking her those questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? The problem when Kira came to me was that she just found out she was pregnant. And she just didn't know what she was going to do. She didn't think her business was going to survive without her being there. She said to me, they don't know what to do unless I'm there. I have to show them and tell them all the time. You know, I'm going to end up losing clients. And actually, they're not going to be booking those clients into their column. I'm not going to take as much money. But I really want to enjoy this pregnancy, and yet I'm feeling terrified about it. So, once she joined the Profitable Salon Liberator, we took her into the salon mission keys. And here, there are a further 3 skills that you need to acquire. So just write this down for me, 3 Ps. And the first P is all about purpose. And here, it's all about understanding for Kira to know exactly what it is she wants to achieve and why she wants her team to do things the way she wants them done. Because it's about making sure that they're as invested in doing it and achieving that goal as much as she is. The next P was about portfolio, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. So what's the third P? Well, the third P is pursue. And look, if you've created a system, if you've created a system for your team to follow, how do you pursue it? How do you ensure that it stays aligned with changes in the industry and stays aligned when somebody new joins your team or you create a new product? That's what pursue is making sure that you keep going back to those systems to check that they're still aligned with your salon. So we dived into portfolio with Kira, because Kira really needed to make these changes quickly because she was now 4 months pregnant, and she knew that she needed to do something so that if she couldn't continue working in her salon could still operate. Otherwise, she thought she might have to sell it. So here are a further 3 steps, and write this down. They all begin with M. The first step is motive. And here it was essentially asking Kira, why do you think your team don't do the things that you want them to do? And why do you want them to do things that way? It was about finding out the importance of putting those systems in place, but not just Kira's, her team's as well. So what she did was had a team meeting. She spoke to all of her team to tell them exactly why she was putting these systems in place, so that they didn't have to keep asking her all the time, so that they did know what they were doing, and so that actually they could be a little bit more accountable, but also they'd feel more empowered because they'd felt like they had more confidence. And when she spoke to her team, she was quite surprised, because actually they said to her, we don't like asking you all the time. We'd rather not keep hassling you. And also they said, you know, actually we'd like to take ownership for other areas in the salon. But what she also identified was that when she started talking about the customer service, they could really see the importance of everybody doing things the same way, so that their clients were getting that great service, so that they were getting those great reviews, so that everybody in the salon knew exactly what they were doing. And it wasn't just one person doing things more than others. So they all started to get invested. They all got the same motive as to why they needed to create these systems. The next step was mastery. Was now everybody knew why they were doing it. This was, how do you do it so that everybody really understands it? So here it was about identifying every area within her business that needed to have a system made for it. From the moment the client found them, to walking through the door, to having their service done, even going to the toilet, wherever it was in your salon, that there was a system created for it, so that everybody did it in their unique way, but aligned with the salon's vision. So we gave her one of these maps, and we got her to color code it for her salon, or she could have created her own, but because time was the essence here, she just actually used the map that we provided for her. And she color coded every area in her salon, and then she documented what that area was, what it should look like, what should happen. So for example, reception area. What was the reception area for? To greet your clients, right? But it wasn't just that. It was to make sure those clients felt welcome. It was to make sure that those clients knew every single service that you provided in your salon. And what about that retail stand? Make sure that every product was on view and priced. It was to make sure that the client got the information that they needed to have a really good service in that salon. And then we went on to the styling stations. What happened there? Well, a client got their cut or their colour, but not just that. How was their coffee served? What kind of marketing was on the sides? And how did they do that service? What was the consultation like? What products did they use, and how did they show the clients the products? And then we went all the way through the salon into the toilet and into the team room. What goes on in the team room, and making sure that, you know, I'm sure you've heard this before, that's not my bowl, so I'm not going to wash it up. All of those silly little things to make sure that everybody was working together. So once she'd done this for her salon, she identified every area and she documented every area. It was then about going to the next step. Even though she had things written down, I had to explain to Kira that not everybody learns by reading something. And also, not everybody's really got the time, have they, to sit there and read all of those things. And what happens when somebody new joins the team? How can they learn how they want the salon done very quickly? So we taught her how to video the whole process, to video the process and to take photos. So now it became visual. And this would really support her team that learned things quicker through watching videos and looking at pictures. So she created pictures and videos of every single step within her salon. Then what she did was put them onto her computer system. In fact, what Kira did was put them onto her salon iPad and created folders for each area of exactly how it should be. So now when she had somebody new join the team, when she was on her maternity, she could just get them to watch that video. She didn't have to go back into her salon to teach them. And not only that, her team didn't have to spend their time teaching them. So once she'd created all of this, we could move on to the next step. And what was the next step? Well, the next step was about manuals. And here, she'd already created her salon Bible. That's what we called it, where everybody had to agree that they were going to be doing things in a certain way in the salon. The other steps was the salon management, the health and safety, the training. And then if you've got a vision and mission, what is that? Our template was to teach her the sustainability, but you may have something different. So what we did was identified all of those manuals that she needed to create, other than just how she wanted the salon to run for the clients and for the team. And she started doing the same with all of these. Her health and safety, documenting every bit that had to be created into a video. Her management, how did she manage the salon? What were her meetings like? When did she do them? Then what she did was put these into folders and created videos for all of these. So she created videos for her health and safety. She created pictures for her health and safety. So now, when it came to doing the health and safety training every year, she could get her team to watch the videos first and then do a short training on what people didn't understand and what people did understand. But also when somebody new joined, they could just watch the health and safety rather than having to train the whole team. Then what she did, she created her management systems, because Kira actually identified one of her team members that had been really showing an interest to help her support the salon grow and sort of manage her team. So she created her management systems of everything she did in the salon, those team meetings, those one-to-one meetings, how she answered the emails, how she dealt with client complaints, and put little videos in there for her. And what she found was that before she even went on her maternity, her team started actually running the salon for her, allowing her to just spend that time on exiting the salon and doing her last clients. Kira started noticing that those 5-star reviews were coming in. Her team were getting more 5-star reviews. They were more invested now in making sure these systems run effectively. Kira got to enjoy her maternity. She got to enjoy time before her baby was born and after her baby was born. And now she still works on the shop floor, but only 2 days a week. But she spends the rest of the time helping support the rest of her team to manage her salon for her. See, when you've got the right systems in place, you can lead your team with the confidence and you can watch your salon thrive without you necessarily needing to be there. What are the next steps? Well, if it's okay with you, I'd quite like to share with you now how the Profitable Salon Liberator works and what you might get if you considered joining me. So, the Profitable Salon Liberator is a 12-month online program where you will get access to my whole 6 modules, which has got well over 100 videos, all led by me personally, creating these videos, but you will understand every single step of the Profitable Salon Liberator. So not only do you get the online videos, but also you'll get the templates to support those videos. They're led by me personally, but not only that, you get access to me once a week on a Zoom where we can go through the modules that you are going through and to make sure that you're understanding this. And we do this with a group to make sure that you actually collaborate with other people going through my program. You also get access to a private WhatsApp group and a Facebook community page. And this is valuable, guys, because you are going to be networking with other people that are growing their business like you are. And then you can share your wins. You can share them on the Facebook community. You can share them in the WhatsApp. But you can also ask in a safe place if you're getting stuck and you don't know what to do. Because not only will I be in that WhatsApp group, but so will my team, because they have implemented these systems too. By the end of the 12 months, you will have a clear strategy plan that not has only just grown your business, but will also show you how to grow your business further after those 12 months. Not only do you get the Profitable Salon Liberator, but you also get access to the Sustainable Salon Mastery, where you can start implementing systems into your salon that not only give you that eco-conscious future, but also help you create that sustainable growth within your business that can potentially help you stand out from the crowd. Who is the Profitable Salon Liberator program for? Well, it is for you if you want to get clearer about what your vision and your mission is, so that you are seen as a leader in the industry. It's also for you if you identify that you need more work-life balance, you want to get your health back, but you still want to grow your business further. It's also for you if you want to start creating that growth mindset, not only for you, but also for your team. And it's also for you if you want to create a brand identity so that you are unique. And look, it's also for you if you want to make sure that you are creating assets, and not just assets, but a legacy, so that you've got the choice as to whether you sell your business or you leave it for somebody else. But let me tell you who this is not for. This is not for you if you are not prepared to make the change, because there will be changes, guys. So you've got to make sure that you're going to dig deep and make those changes. And it's not for you if you are not prepared to look at your numbers. Now, I'm not saying you have to be good at numbers. My whole program is designed so that you can understand that. But you've got to be prepared to see the truth. And this is not for you if you do not want to pay VAT. Because, guys, you need to be at the stage where you're paying your VAT to smash it out the park and go well above this. And it's not for you if you are not going to show up and do the work, because you've got to put the work in, guys. But the work you put in now is going to give you the future you desire. And it's not for you if you really don't care about the future of your team, because isn't it all about them helping you grow the future of your business? But let's be clear, this is for you if you want to get paid as that CEO of your salon, and not just you, but you want your team to earn above industry standards of salaries. And it's also for you if you want to see that profit increased in your business, even though everybody is getting paid really well. And it's also for you if you want to create that compelling career path for your team, if you want to be the salon that actually provides all those other opportunities so your team are no longer looking elsewhere. But what you're going to experience is completely unique. And do you know why? Because I am the one that created the Profitable Salon Liberator. So there's no other program like this out there. It's completely unique to the systems that I implemented. And I created the Sustainable Salon Mastery. And this is aligned with all of the sustainability ethos that has helped me win awards. And I've not just won sustainability awards, those business awards for my unique system. I've won awards for the Profitable Salon Liberator, and we've won awards for all of the systems from that program that we have implemented into our salon. And not only that, but I have spent time and thousands of pounds in business skills education. And it's now helped me create that thriving salon. So I'm going to share that knowledge and that skills with you throughout the program. And not only that, I've got over 30 years experience in the industry. And I'm not just talking about running a salon. I've worked on the shop floor. I've managed salons. I've run hair academies, and I've worked in the film industry. So I have got a wealth of knowledge that I can share with you no matter where you are in your journey. And not only that, But this is the exact journey that I have been through. I was that stressed out hairdresser working on the shop floor trying to run my business. And this is the journey that I took with the Profitable Salon Liberator to create me as the salon CEO, and not just the salon CEO, to go on to become a salon coach and also a professional speaker. But that's not all, because I'm also a certified yoga and mindset coach, and I'm going to help you implement that growth mindset for you and your team. And not only that, my passion is making sure that you understand exactly what your values are. Your values that you can create your business life and your personal life, living in them day by day. And it's also unique. Do you know why? Because I help you find your voice. I help you find what your message is in your business, so that now you can start getting your message out. Your business becomes a unique brand, and you can start being recognized within the industry. What else? Well, as well as access to my online program, you're also going to receive templates to use in the salon that you can actually implement the exact templates that I use in my program. You get a personal tracker so that you can support yourself through it, but we can also see how well you're doing. You get online weekly group coaching calls that are led by me personally. WhatsApp community where you can ask any question and we will get back to you. And you get the private Facebook community page where you can share some of your wins. We can see how well you're doing, and you can see other people's wins too. But not only that, you will also get exclusive first access to my live events, where you often get to experience things in more detail. You can actually make real big changes to the systems you're implementing. And that can only happen in live events, and you will get the first access to that. So how do you sign up to this? Or how do you get more information? Yeah? Well, this is where now you can book a call. So you can scan the QR code, and guys, the call's free. You will get a 30-minute strategy call with myself, where I will actually find out exactly where you are right now and potentially where you want to get to, and how the Profitable Salon Liberator could work for you too. So I am going to share this again a little bit later, and I'm going to put it in the chat box. But for now, if you want to take a quick picture, then do so. But I'm going to put it up as well a little bit later on, because I've still got so much more that I want to share with you. Okay, perfect. So come on, let's dive in, because otherwise we're moving on for time. So now let's get deeper into the structure of helping you create that salon life you desire. And this is in stylist coaching culture. Now, the problem is many salon owners believe that their team are not really invested in the salon's goals, that they're not really invested in achieving the salon targets. And that's not essentially true, because what that does is then makes a salon owner feel that they're constantly having to keep the team motivated, or pay them more of a salary, or, you know, looking at other ways of doing it. And this is a bit like doing a jigsaw puzzle. You know, you've got all those pieces in front of you, but you don't really know where they go because you can't see the bigger picture. But as soon as you see that picture on the box, then it starts to come together. Then you start getting invested as to what the picture's going to look like and what's in it for you to achieve that picture. And that's the same with your team. If you just ask them to do something or get the target, but they can't see the bigger picture, they can't see what's in it for them, then potentially they're not invested to achieve it. Whereas when you do start painting that bigger picture for them, that's when they start realizing what the benefit is for them to actually achieve that target. So with the stylist coaching culture, that's what that's all about. How do you motivate your team so that they do get invested in achieving their goals and your goals? So here there are a further 4 steps, all beginning with I. So you write this down, guys. Make sure you've got those 4 I's on your page, because this is something that you can start implementing straight away with your team. So the first I is about initiate. What am I talking about here? Well, here I'm talking about What's the first step you need to take in making sure that you've got aligned employees? Well, it's about who do you want to attract? How do you write your advert? How do you know that you are speaking to the person that you actually want to join your team? The next I is about induction. And here it's about what do you do at the very beginning when you first employ somebody to not only make sure that they are compliant, making you safe, the salon owner, and them, but also so that they know exactly what is expected of them from day one. And you are supporting them to grow their column really quickly so they actually start bringing money into your business. The next step is intention, and that is what I'm going to share with you today. So what is after this, the last step? Well, that's about improve. Now, this is about making sure that you are consistently improving your strategies in your salon that align with what employees want to achieve now. Making sure that you are implementing those entrepreneurial opportunities so that your team are no longer looking for other opportunities elsewhere. So, let's now dive into intention. Now here there are further 4 steps that you need to implement. So you might want to write this down with your WILL, spelling out the word will, right? And this is the will to get them to make sure that everybody works to achieve the goals. The first one is why. And this is, why do you want them to achieve? And it's also, why do they want to achieve? Essentially, this is actually looking at, you have looked at your values as to why you want to have that vision for your business. But what are your stylist values? What do they value most in their life that would potentially make them want to achieve? So here, with the Profitable Salon Liberator, we have a values test. We have a values test for the salon owner and a values test for the stylist. So here it's about making your team do their individual values tests. What do they value most? Why do they come to work? Is it to earn money? Is it to be part of a community? Is it because they love those great holidays every year? Is it because they feel like it's sociable at work? Or is it because they want significance in their career and they want to grow up the career ladder? But if you don't know what it is, how can you motivate your team to achieve your goals? So here it's about getting your team to identify those values. And this takes at least 3 days for your team to do this, because they need to take it back to their home life to really understand what motivates them. The next step then is looking at, what are their targets? What are the targets that they need to achieve that you have set them? Because look, remember, you're going to have somebody that first starts off with lower targets, but you might have senior team members that have got much higher targets. But essentially, you often see their focus starts waning from what their targets are. But once you understand their values, this is where now you can actually align those values with their targets. If they hit their targets, then potentially they can book that holiday. If they aren't hitting their targets, what does it mean to them to not be able to book that holiday? It's about really keeping track and aligning the two together. What's the next I? Well, this is about intent. Here, it's about, how do you keep that intention and momentum going to make sure that your team stay aligned with their targets? They keep revisiting their values. You keep on track as to whether their values have changed or things have changed in their life. Because look, often we see people start not performing and we just think that they've got the wrong attitude. Whereas once you actually find out what is going on and maybe changes have happened in their life, you can bring that person back on track. Then they feel supported and valued in their workplace, and often find that's the place they feel the safest. So here it's about having regular one-to-one meetings with your team. And I'm not just saying doing your yearly performance meetings. I'm not saying doing your quarterly. I'm talking about touching in with your team every single 4 weeks. Every 4 weeks that they have to achieve their targets, you need to make sure that you're having a meeting with them. And not only that, But when you do become that salon owner that isn't in your salon as much, having that one-to-one meeting becomes really valuable to them. They feel valued by you, that you are giving up your time because you care about the future of their career. So here it's about going through, how are they doing with their targets? Are they doing the right amount of guests? Have they had new guests? If they haven't, what can you do to support them? How can you help them get those new clients? Are they getting request clients? What is their average bill? Are they hitting their average bill? If they're not, what's happening? Is somebody charging the wrong price, which might be a tricky conversation? Or has somebody got lots of white space that they're ending up with offers in their column? Are they really caring for their clients enough that they are recommending retail to them? And then we have Vish here, because this is something about keeping our salons sustainable, making sure they're not wasting colour that's going down the sink. And if they are, then why are they not aligned to the salon's vision? And then it's about looking at more of the soft skills, more of the how are they communicating? How are they getting on with their consultations? Have they had any complaints? How's their customer service? Are they getting those good reviews? Have they had any problems? And if they have had problems, who's been helping them solve them? Have they been left on their own? And if they have, we can identify this. But also, have they had problems outside of work that has had an impact to their salon life? Are they being supported by the apprentices? Big one for me here is, how are their hands? Because their hands are in water a lot. And often they don't tell you when things go wrong. You need to make sure that you're looking after them, especially the apprentices, to make sure that their hands are not getting an industry problem that we end up with, and then they're off sick for long term in your business. So this is your one-to-one goal that you can have with your team. And here is when you soon identify if their intention has changed, and if now there's a reason for them not achieving their goals. Or potentially this is a time when you've got somebody that is smashing their goals out the park. They're doing really well. Identify it quickly, because you can promote that person and not allow them to look for opportunities elsewhere. You can start giving them more opportunities in your business. So the next step, and this is something to remember, guys, you might want to write this down. If you don't measure performance, then you're leaving success to chance. You know, that high performer, if you don't know how well she's doing, you're just hoping she's going to stay with you. Accountability is what drives the achievement. And accountability is also what keeps the longevity of your team. The next step is laps. And what do I mean by this? Well, here it's about, what do you do if in that one-to-one meeting you have got that team member that's underperforming? And actually, when you've dived deeper, there is no reason, or you don't think there's a reason. You know, you've asked them all the questions. Is there any more support we can give you? No, I'm fine. And you just think that they've got a bad attitude. Well, this is where you need to dive deeper, because look, you don't want to drive straight into that performance management, because that is a negative outcome. You want to try and support them before that. And we do this with the Evolution coaching plan. And this is part of our stylist mastery strategy, which you get in the Profitable Salon Liberator. And here it's about creating an evolution plan to support that stylist so they can grow. It's looking at essentially a SWOT analysis. What are their skills like? Their social, their practical, their knowledge. So for example, if you were looking at their practical skills, what are their highlights like? Well, their highlights might be their strengths. They're great at that, which means the opportunity is they're getting a high percentage of the client share. They might be really good at short haircuts. Not many stylists are good at that. So that means that actually they are getting a high percentage of the client share. But their weakness might be balayage, which means they're missing out on the progression of their column, being a high ticket service. Product knowledge. Maybe they don't quite understand the retail products that you've got on your shelf. Maybe they missed out on that training day. And then they're missing out on the revenue into their column and your salons by not recommending that retail. So once you know this, what do you do with it? Well, that's the next step. Now you can create a plan to support them. Now you can make them accountable, but also yourself accountable, so that you know you've done your best before you'd have to go on to the next stage. For example, not recommending retail? Well, why don't we get the product supplier in to do more training? Maybe they could do it on an online training course. Or maybe your product supplier would come in and do extra training. When are we going to do it? We're going to do it on a Monday. But how do we know that they've done it, and how do we know we've learned from that? We make a validation. We make sure that potentially they would have to present what they've learned to the manager so that they can understand that they've actually learned something from their training. Balayage. What if they're not very good at balayage? Maybe your education manager is really super cool at balayage, and she'd be able to teach her rather than send her on an exterior course. Or maybe you haven't got anyone in your team that could, but you could send them onto an exterior course. Here, it would be to join the training with a model. They need to get a model and they can join the training pod. When are they going to do it? Training in our salon happens on a Tuesday. So they would join that training pod on a Tuesday to learn how to do the balayage better. How are they going to validate it? When they start feeling confident, they start getting those balayage booked in their column, but also once they've completed a model with complete confidence. But now, not only have you created a plan, but you've created a plan that is going to install confidence for your team member, that now is going to feel like she's been supported and valued in your business. What's the next step? So now you know why they need to achieve their goal. They know why you need them to achieve their goals, and they know why they need to achieve their goals. And they feel invested because it's part of their values. They now know that the intention is supported by you in regular one-to-one meetings. You know what to do if they're not quite hitting their targets. The last step is about leadership. And this is about the leadership team in your salon, whether that's you or your managers, knowing how to effectively lead that team so that they do feel supported. It's making sure that you listen to really understand what they're saying. It's make sure that you value their contributions by having weekly team meetings and letting them put their input as to maybe how you can make changes. Making sure that you are leading them no matter what stage they are in their career. This is a bit like growing flowers in your garden. Every flower is unique, and every flower has got a different need. Some need the shade, some need more water, some need more care, some don't need anything at all. That's exactly like your team, making sure that you are identifying every single one in your team as individual and really looking at their individual needs. We do this with a quadrant of learning, with a little bit of twist. So it's looking at your joyful beginner, an apprentice, a new stylist, new assistant, whoever they are. They're new. They're excited to get started. They don't really know anything about your business, right? So they're kind of like, don't really know what I don't know. So I don't know what I've got to learn, but they're just excited to do it. However, they can't really do much in your business. So the next stage is that you support them there. In the joyful beginner, you need to put a lot of input in as a leader to really handhold that employee through that first stage. Then they become to the despondent novice. And here, this is where they start knowing things. They start doing things without having to be asked. They can't really bring you much money into the salon, but they maybe can start running the booking system, cleaning your salon. Or if it's a new stylist, they start understanding how to build their column. You still have to handhold them, but you can let them go occasionally. Then we start getting them into the unsure apprentice. And this is somebody that is potentially a new stylist that now is starting to build their column. But they're still feeling a little bit nervous when they do that new client. They're still feeling a little bit nervous when they come into that one-to-one meeting with you because they're not quite sure about you yet. They don't really understand you. They don't know what happens if they haven't achieved their targets, but they kind of know what to do day to day. Your apprentice is maybe now doing more services in your salon and starting to bring in the money. So now, as a leader in your business, you kind of let them go. You know that they can do these things. You just nurture them. You just reward them. And you maybe give them a nudge when things aren't quite going right. Then they become that motivated master. And this is where, as a salon owner, we often step back. They're running a busy column. They're taking lots of money. You think they're really happy. They're kind of that leader themselves in the salon. But often what happens here is where we take the eye off the ball and we start thinking they're okay over there. They can carry on doing what they're doing. But this is when sometimes an employee starts looking for opportunities elsewhere because they want that career growth. They want to change. Here, they start pushing boundaries. They start thinking they're the top dog. So it's now about trying to get them back to that joyful beginner again so that they get excited about coming to work. They get excited about being part of your growing brand. So it's looking at, do they need promoting? Do they need a price increase? Or do you need to give them some other responsibilities in your salon? But you can do that now you know how to have your regular one-to-one meetings, revisiting their values and really understanding what motivates them. Hopefully you can see the benefit in that, guys, because this is something you can start implementing so that your employees are not looking for opportunities elsewhere, so that you are setting your new employees to a really off the ground, running quickly to be bringing money into your business. Okay, so there is one more step that I really want to share with you now. And then after that, we're done, guys. But this next step is really important. So these are some of the wins, first of all, that our team have won by implementing the stylist coaching culture. You know, we've had Apprentice of the Year, finalist Future Talent Award for some of our team. Team members running our academy now. We've got team members earning over 40k in salaries because that's above industry standards. Some are even on 50k. And that's because they can see how they can invest their values aligned with ours to grow their career with us. And we've also got team members having bought their properties. We've now got about 3 that have bought properties and some of them landlords. Implement this in your salon, guys, and see how your team grow with you. So the truth is, when your team understands how their success is tied to the business success, they become just as invested in achieving the goals as you are. So we've got one more skill that I'd like to share with you today. And then we're done, guys. So it's really important to just hang around for this last skill because this will make a change in your business too. So this is a magnetic mindset game. This is often what I hear here, and social media has a big part to play about this. Have you ever heard that saying? Visualize your dreams, put it out into the universe, and it will come back to you. So why are we not all living in mansions? Why are we not earning £1 million and got 3 Mercedes sitting on our drive and potentially having to save to go on our holidays? Because you can't just visualize a dream and put it out there to the universe. What you need to do is take the steps to achieve that goal. So yes, you need to visualize your dream, but a dream without a plan, a vision without a plan is just a dream. It's a bit like taking that road trip. You can visualize where you want to go. You can visualize how it's going to feel on the journey. But if you haven't put petrol in your car and you haven't mapped out your route, your journey there is going to take way longer, and actually you might not even get to the destination. That's like you putting your dreams into the universe. So this is what we do with our team. You know, we get team members that start with us, apprentices especially, that have been influenced by social media. They've been influenced by, yes, put your dream out there and it will come back to you. They see these hairdressers influencing on social media of how they are building a great column and how, you know, everything looks glamorous in the hairdressing world. But they don't understand the steps of how they get there. So this is something we implement at the very beginning of employment. And this is a magnetic mindset game. So here there are 4 further steps that you need to implement to make sure that your team are performing in their optimum state. The first step is about gratitude. Now, gratitude, when you create a culture of gratitude in your business, it's about people recognizing the small wins, people recognizing that they don't need to actually achieve their big goal, just even seeing small steps along the way can actually lift their spirits that they're on the right path. The next one is about affirmations. Now, I'm not talking about standing in front of the mirror and talking to yourself about how amazing you are. What I'm talking about here is about the language that is used in your salon. How are your team talking to each other? How are they making each other feel uplifted? It's about using affirmations to lift someone else's spirits up. The next one is meditation. And again, I'm not saying that all your stylists need to sit down cross-legged and hum, right? Although for you, the salon owner, it's a good practice to install in your daily routine. What I'm talking about here is how to install a mindset of meditation that your team can practice throughout their whole working day to make sure that when they get that challenge, when they get that stressful moment, they can calm their mind down really quickly. They can bring their focus back to exactly what it is they should be doing to achieve their goal. And the last step is end goal. And this is what I'm going to share with you today, guys, because I'd love you to go away from this today understanding how you can essentially achieve your goals. So here there are further 4 steps. And the first one is goal. So you might want to write this down. So this is essentially about what is your goal? What is your vision? What is your dream? And it can be big, but it's about understanding that it is aligned with your values. Because often people create goals, but when they really think about it, they don't really want to achieve it. They've just seen someone on social media achieve it and they think it will be great. It's about sitting down as a team and really working together as to what you really want to achieve in the future. And the same for you as a salon owner. What do you really want to achieve? Because be careful what you wish for, because you may get it. The next step is about effects. And here I'm talking about just putting a goal out there into the universe isn't really going to do a lot. But how will it make you feel if you achieve that goal? How does it make you feel when you're one step closer to that goal? And how does it make your team feel when they start feeling like they're achieving? It's about linking the goal they want to achieve to how that really makes them feel. So when they do get that challenging moment, when they do get that really tricky client, bringing their mind back to how they really should be feeling once they've achieved that goal. The next step is investigate. And here, this is where you can start aligning your team's targets to their goal. Because not only does it help create that plan of how they can actually get there, but it means you can support them in their regular one-to-one meetings. So for example, if somebody, we had this recently, somebody wanted to go to Mexico for 3 weeks and our holiday process is normally just 2 weeks. However, she really wanted to do this, so we set her a goal. But once she had that plan, she knew exactly the steps on a day-to-day basis that she needed to do. So she knew that she had to achieve these targets for 3 months consistently. And once she'd done this, she could book her holiday to Mexico. And that's exactly what she did. And she managed to achieve her goal. But by having those regular one-to-one meetings, by making her keep aligned to the plan that was in place, every single day she got closer and closer to achieving that big goal. And the final step is nurture. And here this is about you nurturing their goals. And it's also about you nurturing your goals. When you have created that goal, when you have created your vision board, when you've maybe created your vision book, it's about keep going back, keep looking at it, but don't just look at it, feel that emotion. How is it going to make you feel? How is it going to have an impact on your life when you achieve that goal? And when you do this with your team, that's when they start achieving. It's about making sure that when you have those one-to-ones, you get that emotion back, you get them excited, you get them passionate about their goal, you create that plan, you work through that plan with your team. And this is then what they go on to do. We've had team members that have wanted to have babies, they've gone on to have babies. My stylist I spoke about got to go away to Mexico for 3 weeks, buying their properties, becoming landlords, apprentices, passing their driving test on their first go and getting their first car, winning awards. Once you align your dreams with a feeling and with a plan, that's when you achieve your goals. Goals without action are just dreams. It's not enough to just visualize. You must take those steps, and purposeful steps, so they actually feel something to you. Steps to turn those visions into reality. So, we've now come to the end of our training, but I'm going to share that QR code with you because look, I'm looking for more salon owners to implement my system because I'd love you to be a case study like Gemma, like Kira, so that I can really be proud of the results that you are achieving. I would love you to have more time and freedom. You must be willing to showcase your results. And here's a recap of what you get in the Profitable Salon Liberator. My 12-month online program with hundreds of videos worked in a system to help you gradually start growing your business and giving you more time and freedom. So it's not just the Profitable Salon Liberator, you also get the Sustainable Salon Mastery, where you don't have to become an all-encompassing sustainable salon, but when you see the benefits of what sustainability will do to your business, that you get longevity with profit, longevity with your team, longevity with aligned clients, it becomes a no-brainer. You get taught by me personally, online and on our weekly calls, access to our WhatsApp group and our community on Facebook, and you will have that strategic 12-month plan that you will consistently use to grow your business. You'll get that first access to my live events where you can dive deeper, get to meet me and really get to know how much I can help you change your business. So if you're ready for change, let me help you get more profit, more time and freedom, attract a high-performing team, and change your identity from that hairdresser to that salon CEO. If you book a call, we're going to be there to answer any of your questions and also discuss payment options of my program. So I'm going to come back to this slide because I'm going to leave it up a little bit longer so you can book a call. But now we've come to the end. Thank you so much for spending time with me. It's been a great pleasure. I really hope you've got lots of valuable content that you can take away right now and implement in your business. However, I'd love to meet you one day, because I'm Lisa Phillips and I love nothing more than empowering salon owners and professionals with the knowledge, the tools and the support that you need to help you build that successful, ethical and sustainable business that not only serves your clients with excellence, but also respect and kindness. So you've got a business that you value and love. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I can't wait to meet you, whether it's on that strategy call or whether it's at one of my live events. But hopefully I'll get to see you soon one day. Thank you.